Hey, superstars. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Aaron Zakowski, and today I'm chatting with Aaron Krall. Aaron is a SaaS user onboarding specialist and the founder of SaaS Accelerator, a coaching program that helps SaaS founders implement systems and processes to scale revenue faster and more predictably. Aaron also runs the SaaS Growth Hacks community on Facebook, which currently has over 20,000 members. How you doing today, Aaron?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We've known each other for a while, but I've read so many testimonials on your work from founders who have just said, the impact of your help has helped them to really grow revenues in their company through email marketing, through user onboarding, all these kind of things. So we just got to start off with what do you do? Like what's your process and how are you helping people?
Yeah, great question. So it's taken me a long time to figure out a really repeatable, scalable process that I know works every time. And honestly, I'm still refining it. But there's really four basic parts to how I help a SaaS company. The first phase is diagnose. So what I'll do is I'll look at their entire growth plan and compare it to our growth framework, and we'll see everything that's missing. Like if you had a sheet of tracing paper with part of the puzzle, and then you put another sheet of tracing paper on top of that puzzle, you can kind of see, you can lift them up and you can see what parts are missing. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we do is I compare what would they have to our growth framework model. And that's just what we've learned with working with over 1,500 SaaS companies. There's certain things that every SaaS company needs to have. And if they're missing them, we could identify them pretty quickly. And then we'll just make a list of everything that they're missing and then everything that they currently have that we want to audit. Right. So there's an audit process and then there's an implementation process. So once we've done with that, second step is advise. So then I show them what to do. I show them how to fix their growth framework. So if they're doing outbound emails, for instance, we'll do a complete overhaul of their entire outbound email campaign. If they're doing Facebook ads, we do we'll look at, we're not a Facebook ads. I'm not a Facebook ads guy, so I probably send them to you. But we can kind of just very briefly look at their landing pages and copy and stuff like that. But yeah, then after we advise everyone, we look at, we show them what to do, and then they implement. So we're not implementators. So if we say, here, do this, and this, their team implements, and this is where I probably hand it off to someone like you, Aaron, who can implement our suggestions or actually run the campaign. Yep. Or they have an internal team that does it. And then after they implement it and ongoing through this process, there's a review phase, which is every time they create a deliverable and have questions, I'm reviewing things. So it's 4 steps: diagnose, figure out what we need to fix, how to fix it, advise, show them how to do it, implementation, and then a constant review. Okay. So that's we just repeat that cycle over and over again for each part of their framework.
Okay. And so what I guess are those frameworks? I mean, you mentioned you help people with outbound email, which I know I've seen in the group you're talking about, tips for how to do outbound email and all that kind of stuff. Well, personally, I think of you as onboarding expert as opposed to outreach expert. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think of those things differently. And it's interesting to hear you kind of, I guess, are helping companies with a much broader spectrum of things. Onboarding wouldn't be cold email. It would be using emails once they're already signed up to use the product, correct? So that's what I think of you, but it sounds like you don't know much more than that, right?
Yeah. So I initially started out doing onboarding. Okay. That's kind of my lead acquisition strategy is I'm the onboarding guy.
Yep.
But once we get into working together, there's so many more things that I can help with. There's 3 pillars that I help with when helping SaaS companies grow is acquiring customers, converting them, and then retaining. So I help customers acquire customers, convert them, and retain them. And I have underneath each one of those, I have my own specific frameworks that I've developed for how to do that. So under convert, I have a traffic to trial framework, which is how to convert more traffic into trials. And I have a trial to paid or demo framework. And then I have a trial to paid. And then within retention, I have how do you retain customers and reducing churn. And then for acquisition, I don't do anything with paid ads, but I focus a lot on outbound email outreach and building partnerships with people. That's a big thing that I do is help people build partnerships. So once we once we start working together, there's a lot more that we can work on. And typically when I work with a client, we start with what's the biggest opportunity to focus on. And then we would like make a list of everything else. And over the next 12 months, we just work on each thing individually, one step at a time. And many times onboarding is in there. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes working on other things.
Okay. Who generally are you helping? I mean, I know it's SaaS companies. Kind of what stage company are you typically working with that are needing this help? Is it kind of early stage? Are they more growth stage?
Yeah, I would say early in growth. I have a program for companies, SaaS founders that are under 10K to get them to 10K, where they work with me to get them to 10K. Mm-hmm. And then if they're over 10K, anywhere from 10 to 500K MRR, then I have like an accelerator program, which is where we work one-on-one every month to fix each part of their growth plan. I don't typically work with companies bigger than that because they usually have in-house people and marketing directors who are in charge of all that stuff. Yep. My sweet spot is working with founders who are technical founders who have a team that can implement but don't know what to do or have been spinning their wheels.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I guess in my prep for this call, I was expecting to be talking about user onboarding.
And we can talk about user. I love talking about user onboarding. It's such a big pain
let's stick
too.
there. But I want all our listeners to know, like, you need help with all those other pieces. Aaron's your man, and definitely the results speak for themselves of what you'll see in the group and what people have to say about the work he's done for them. But we're going to keep this conversation focused, I guess, for now on user onboarding, and we'll see where that goes.
Great.
So, what's the process there? I mean, if someone comes in and says, okay, we got a problem here. We've got people signing up. They're not necessarily using the product. Where do you go from there? Like where are the big mistakes and where are the big opportunities?
Yeah. So some of the biggest mistakes I see is companies scaling onboarding before they're ready to scale onboarding. I think there's kind of like this, dream for most SaaS founders, technical founders especially, where they just want to code and build a good product and have people sign up for it. And there's really no hands-on kind of sales process. Okay. When reality is, the fastest way that you're going to grow your SaaS company initially is through sales and talking to people and converting them. And that goes for if you have a $7 a month product versus a $600 a month product or $1,000 a month product. So one of the big mistakes I see is people just trying to scale their onboarding before they realize who their customer is and who their dream customers, who they can help the most. Mm. And then identifying like how their product is different or unique, and without figuring those two things out, it's really, really hard to scale a sales process if you don't know who your market is and what they want to see or hear or experience to convert.
Right.
So if you're under 10K, my suggestion would be like, stop trying to scale your onboarding and just build revenue.
Yeah. And when you say scaling onboarding, do you mean user acquisition and then onboarding secondarily?
Sorry, what I mean by scaling onboarding is creating a low touch, self-serve onboarding process before you understand who your customers are and what you need to do to sell them.
Uh-huh. So you're saying a lot of clients are trying to bring as many people through that pipeline without necessarily understanding who should be coming through that pipeline.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, I guess people are so focused on revenue and growth, but there's
and they think the only way that we're going to scale is if we have a self-serve onboarding process. There's no way we're going to have 100 salespeople selling all of these $50 a month products. Like, it's just not possible. But what they don't realize is that when you're building a SaaS company, it's like pushing a wheel up down a flat path. Initially, it's going to be really, really hard to get that wheel going. But once you have momentum, it starts to roll on its own.
Yep.
And what they want is to just jump to where, Infusionsoft is or Salesforce. They have a scalable system and everything's working great. They don't have salespeople are closing deals, but they also have a self-serve process. They want to jump to where those companies are at without going through the hard process of doing unscalable things to get to the point where they can scale.
Right. It always reminds me of the founder story of Airbnb, if you've heard it, where they say, I forget the founder's name, I think Brian Chesky. He spoke with every host when they started off in the New York market. He just knocked on every single door of the host of Airbnb. Yeah. And he said tell me about yourself. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Et cetera, et cetera. Got to know these people really well, brought them all gifts. And by understanding that psyche of at least one half of his marketplace, he was able to really scale that thing.
Yeah. And if you want to look at a really fascinating business, Airbnb is super fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I think they started out in a specific niche, which is college towns. Started out in college towns or markets. And they were solving a very specific problem. So they didn't start out the way that they are now, which is, rentals everywhere for everyone. He was really hands-on initially in that process, like super, super hands-on. But when you do hands-on and you start onboarding customers and give them a really good experience, then you start building advocates for your product who love you because they're getting results. And so it's just like a win-win all the way around. But most founders just don't want to do that. And I get it because they're technical and they don't have a marketing background, but that's kind of where I can come in and help.
Sure. Yeah, we had episode 9 of this podcast. I interviewed Corey Haynes from Baremetrics. And he said a big part of his job over the past year or two has been just calling new customers and offering just to walk them through the product and show them where to get value and how to use it and get started really fast. And he said it's had an incredible impact on the growth and the retention.
Yeah.
And they're a retention product to begin with. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess you've answered both questions, or in terms of, the mistakes and the opportunity. It sounds like the opportunity is just like get on the phone, talk to people, and see how they're using the product at the very beginning.
Yeah, get on the phone and talk to them and get your revenue up, man. Like the more revenue that you have, the easier your growth is going to be. And so Dan Martell says this too. He's like, you want to grow your SaaS company? Get on the phone and grow it and talk to people. And then at some point, you're going to start building enough momentum where you can hire Aaron, you can hire you to like drive traffic. Because once they have a machine that's working, then it's a matter of just getting as much quality traffic as possible.
Yeah.
But most people want to start with scaling without figuring out how to do it. If you can't do it one-on-one, it's going to be impossible to do it at scale. And
you're talking about being on the phone both before the sign up and after the sign up. Get them to try the product and then get them to make sure they're using it.
Get them before the product, get them to sign up during the process, after the process, make sure they're happy. You have an advantage because if you're smaller, a lot of these bigger companies can't onboard you white glove onboarded for free. Like if I'm a Salesforce competitor and I go to, hey, do you not like Salesforce? We can move you to our system and we'll migrate everything for free. We'll do it all for you for free. We'll get you into the system. We'll show you why our tool is better, and we'll make sure you have success with it. Infusionsoft can't do that. There's just no way they can scale that out. So you're in an advantage because you can actually do, and you can do that for really big companies too, to make sure they have success. And that's one really quick way to grow,
So then that sounds like the first step of, get on the phone, understand people, kind of do some, account audits, for lack of a better word, in terms of understanding how people are using the product. So let's say a founder now has that information. They understand why people are using it. They understand the best use cases of the people that love their product the most. What comes next? How do they start building that automated system then once they come to that?
Yeah, so there's a process that we use for this. First of all, what we want to do is build out a path of first value. There's a misconception in the SaaS world that there's one moment of value where your customer will see that moment and then they'll convert to a paid customer. The reality is there's a lot of mini aha moments throughout the product. Mm-hmm. There's a really good customer service moment, and then there's like a really cool feature they didn't realize that they needed, and then there's like this other cool feature, or like this, they get their first sign up. And so all these moments build upon each other. And so what you do with your onboarding is you want to make sure that your customer can experience all of these moments as many as they can during the onboarding process. Yeah. So we call it the path of first value. What are the things that a customer needs to know, experience, see, or do during the onboarding to help them make a decision and convert them into a customer? It's not always like do. Sometimes it's like addressing an objection or introducing a feature they didn't know they could do, or a benefit that they didn't know they could have by using your tool. Mm-hmm. So we create the path of first value. We have two different sequences. There's a universal sequence, which goes out to everyone, and then a trigger-based sequence, which goes out based on actions they do or do not take within the app.
By sequence, you mean emailing sequences?
Yeah, an email sequence. So I'll talk about external first. So I have two different types of onboarding: internal onboarding and external onboarding. So external onboarding is everything that happens outside the app, and you want to build a universal and a trigger-based sequence. And then there's lots of other ones that we've identified. There's a retention sequence. Once they convert, what do you send them to keep them in the product? A troubleshooting sequence, what happens if they cancel or if they don't subscribe. But we create that path of first value, and then we create a trigger-based sequence to make sure that they're doing the things in the app that they need to in order to see success. Now, the benefit of it as a demo is that you can ask the customer what's important to you, and you can show them. With scalable self-serve, you can't really do that at scale yet. You can't customize their onboarding process for them perfectly, no matter who they are. Right. So you have to do your best and say, what, looking at all of the customers that we have, what are the things that most of our paying customers have? What have they ended up doing in the app that have converted them? Mm-hmm. And then you create that as part of your onboarding process, your trigger-based onboarding process.
Right.
And then, yeah.
No, I was going to clarify. So you're saying figure out what most people do before they convert, and then get as many people as possible and to make sure they do that thing.
Yep.
On an assumption that then that will help them to convert as well.
Yeah, it's doing and also experiencing and seeing things too. So they may not be able to, for instance, see 1,000 clients in their CRM, but if you show them once you do have 1,000 clients in your CRM, here's what you're going to be able to do. Uh-huh. That is another one of those aha moments that goes out on the universal sequence. Doesn't matter where they're at in the process. They need to know that when they get, that they're going to be able to do this XYZ thing once they have this in their product. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Let's transition a little bit. You've been running the SaaS Growth Hacks group for a long time. I remember joining the group. You were probably like 1,000 people in there. Now you're over 20,000, which is incredible. It's probably the best online community for SaaS marketers and founders out there.
Thank you.
It sounds like a silly question. How has it impacted your business? How do you use that to grow as a consultant? But then, is that a tool that you would recommend that SaaS companies start growing their own communities as well? Is that something you recommend to people?
Yeah. So I'll start with the first question, which is how has it benefited me? It's been incredible. It's helped me build amazing connections with founders that I never would have had before. It's helped me enter a market that I didn't even know existed 6 years ago. Uh-huh. It's helped me really find people that I can help. Mm-hmm. It's helped me develop my processes and systems and frameworks. It has been the best thing that I've done. I've started numerous businesses, and this is probably the best thing that I've done ever, is create a community around like-minded people that I can serve. Because I created my own fishing pond. How many people can say that they own the market where their customers hang out? It's pretty incredible. So it's been phenomenal for me. And I've gotten, I speak all over the world, and I get to meet with wonderful people and make great connections. And it's been the number one source of revenue for me has been my Facebook group. So do I recommend people starting a Facebook group? It depends. It depends on your business model. Depends on how much time you have. You have someone to run the community. It depends on your goal. I don't do anything else. I don't do YouTube. I don't do LinkedIn. I don't do Twitter, Instagram. All I use for my client acquisition is my Facebook group, because I want to build a really good engine, because I know Facebook groups work for me. And so I here's the secret is like, it all works. Everything works. It's just, are you willing to put in the time and effort to figure out how it can work for you?
Yeah.
And the benefit of working with an agency like you, Aaron, is that you've already figured out how to make it work. So they don't need to figure it out from scratch. Like, they could just go to you and say, hey, we want Facebook to work for us. Let's do it. But for other people, they have to start from scratch and figure it out. And then once, they try it for a few days and it doesn't work, and they move on to the next thing. For me, Facebook groups just just was one of the things that just took off right away. So I focused on that.
Yep.
If you're a SaaS company and you have like lots of different things that you've been trying, and what I would look at is, where have most of your customers come from already? Where has the best customers come from? And then double down on that and really maximize that channel before you move into a brand new channel, because it's a fun thing. I think Dan Kennedy says it best. He says, it's not the sexy things that make money.
Right.
And growing a Facebook group was super sexy for me for the first like year or so. And then I was like, I got bored. I wanted to move to something else, but I tried different things and nothing really worked. But that's because I didn't give it my whole like energy and focus. Right. And so that's why I decided Facebook groups for me was going to be my main source of leads. And I made it work. Yeah. So if you're thinking about starting a Facebook group, consistency and focus. So if my advice to you, if you're thinking about doing a Facebook group, is just thinking really clear about, is that where you should spend your time? If you know clients are coming from other Facebook groups, then start a Facebook group. You might really have some success with it. I would always recommend having some kind of beta testing group where you have your customers there where they can make comments and you can help them and they can ask questions and they can talk to other people in the community. But that's a totally different thing. That's kind of like that's not a growth engine so much as it is like a feedback engine. So everyone should have like a feedback engine where they can talk to their customers, but don't combine them both. Don't have a feedback engine and a growth engine as the same group. That's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How much time does it take you to run that group? I mean, you've got so many people, so much content flowing through there every day, and you're posting frequently as well on a daily, weekly basis. What's your time?
I would say probably like an hour a week.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. I had admins that manage the posts.
Okay.
I have an assistant that schedules out posts for the whole month. I go in and I review the page a couple minutes a day just to see if there's any questions that I can answer. And everything else is automated. When people join the group, they get put into a sequence. If they put their email address, then I nurture them through email. Mm-hmm. And then the most of my time gets put into actually creating content for the group, not managing the group. Content-wise, I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a week creating video content for the group.
Yeah, it's still not too bad.
Yeah, which isn't too bad.
Mm-hmm. And then, so then the majority of your time is spent actually servicing your clients, or you're at a point now where you don't even have to work that much?
Yeah, when I work with clients, it's pretty hands-on.
Okay.
I've just found that it's just not effective to give someone a training and expect their business to like 10x over the next 6 months, right? Uh-huh. I've just found that with the most results I can get SaaS founders is actually working with them every month on their specific plan and working with them one-on-one. So I can only take on so many clients at a time. It's not super scalable, but I built it so that I can, help a fair amount of people. My goal is to help 1 million SaaS companies at some point.
Are there any SaaS companies?
I don't even know. I have 20,000 of them in my group. So my goal is to help as many as possible. Sure. And so I do have like a program for, SaaS that are under 10K that's really scalable and that I can really help. But yeah, I would like to at some point really help as many as I can, and that the group is a great place for me to start.
Sure. Next question. If there was a product, feature, service somebody could invent to make your life better, what would it be? Better, easier?
To make my life better?
Yeah.
Oh man. I've thought about this, and I would say my biggest need right now is probably an onboarding tool that includes just a onboarding checklist feature and really simple walkthroughs. So if I'm a new SaaS, I can put up a checklist in my app that says, here are the things that you need to do to have success with my app. There's lots of tools out there that exist like that, but they're expensive, especially if you're under 10K. And so many companies I can help that are under 10K get much more revenue by having a simple tool like that. That's under like $100 a month. So that would be amazing if I could have like a simple tool like that could really, that would help a lot of my clients and customers I work with get above that 10K mark. So
sweet. So it sounds like someone's listening and wants to build that. Build it, bring it to Aaron, and
I'll
implement it with all his customers, and you got your first 100 customers right there.
You don't have to do any marketing. I'll do all of it for you.
There you go. Sounds like a good opportunity for somebody. Awesome. Let's jump into the lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers. Let people get to know you a little bit and what makes you tick. So first question is your family situation. Single, married, kids?
Married, 1 kid, Arlo, 3 years old.
Nice.
Dog, Penny, 7 years old.
All right, sweet. What book would you recommend to our listeners to read? It could be fiction, non-fiction, business.
If you're into reading nonfiction, I would recommend reading nonfiction to be Traction.
Okay.
If you haven't read Traction by Gino Wickman, get this book. And if you absolutely 100% need to get this book, no matter where you're at in your business. Fiction, Red Rising, the Red Rising trilogy.
Nice. I was actually going to guess you were going to say this one because you sent me this book. And,
yes. Ultimate Sales Machine. That's the other one. This Traction and Ultimate Sales Machine combined. Oh man, you would just it's how to run a $1 billion business efficiently. Yeah.
Awesome.
Super, super good.
Sweet. What's your favorite marketing or productivity tool right now?
I know I keep coming back to Workflowy. I just love Workflowy so much for just building out outlines and taking notes and mapping out presentations and everything. I just keep coming back to that tool. I use Notion a lot too. Okay. I would say Workflowy and Notion is where I put Notion. Workflowy is just so good for managing my brain.
Nice. It's funny. I tried using Notion after hearing so many things about it, and I couldn't figure out how to do anything in it.
It's pretty complicated.
And I was like, am I stupid? Everyone's using this fantastic product, and I can't figure out how to build a list.
It's a pretty heavy learning curve, but man, once you get into it, it's indispensable.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Workflow is much easier.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. What's your favorite, or who rather is your favorite marketer to be learning from right now?
Oh man, I love following stuff from Travis Sago, Sago. I think he's one of the most brilliant marketers out there right now. The way that he writes, the way that he positions his products, his offers, his selling, everything is just genius.
All right.
And I just love.
So we'll check him out also.
Yeah, he's great.
Fantastic. And other than your own, what's your favorite website or online community to be participating and learning from these days?
I really don't spend a lot of time in other communities, to be honest with you. Yeah, I have, what I do is I look for book recommendations, and then I just get books and I read the books and I take the stuff out that I think is going to apply to me. I ignore the stuff that doesn't apply. And then I try it out. I also buy a lot of courses because these are people that have taken all of this knowledge and condensed it down into a step-by-step process. And that's how I learn. I learn with a step-by-step, clear process. That's how I teach. And so going to a community or blog or whatever, or website, there's just a bunch of information everywhere. I'd rather pay the money to get the information sent to me in a way that I can just consume it in an hour and know everything I need to know about it.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's just so hard to, all these courses, and just buying them is exciting, but sitting there and actually having to learn them is the hard part.
Yeah, you know what I do?
Lots of courses.
You know what I do? I have, that's a good point, Aaron, and this might help you. So I have, I don't know, probably 15 courses that I bought that I haven't listened to yet. Mm-hmm. What I do is I have my VA put them into MP3s and then upload them into my iPhone. And then when I'm out and about, I just open up, my phone and listen to the MP3 when I'm on the road.
So I've got a new product for you then. I just met an entrepreneur in the past week who's starting, I hope I could discuss it. It's in beta, but Hiro, HIRO.FM. And basically what their product does, it's for course creators who want to turn their product into an MP3, to basically turn all of the course into an audio, and then it syncs right into, Apple Podcasts or something like that. So even though it's private and it's, purchased only, you can listen to it as a podcast. It does all that for you.
Yeah, that's great. So that's awesome. Yeah, there's a need for that. Absolutely. Because I get all these courses. I don't have time to sit in front of a video for 5 hours a week, but when I'm driving,
sure,
I could pop on a course and listen to it.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Aaron, where can people go to learn more about you? And if there's a piece of content, a lead magnet, something you think people can go to get the most value, what do you recommend?
Yeah. If you want to learn more about me, SaaS Growth Hacks Facebook group is the place to be. If you're not a member of that group, go there and check it out. If you're already a member of SaaS Growth Hacks and you want some extra stuff, go to aaronkrall.io. I have a guide there, and there's also a couple of links to schedule a chat with me to get some more help, more personal one-on-one help. And then also there's a bunch of articles and stuff that I've written in the blog section. It would be really, really good.
Awesome. Aaron, this has been awesome. Fantastic content. I know people are going to really benefit. Getting just my own refresher, kind of what you do. Like I got a lot of people I think I'll be sending to the next week or two that are already in my funnel that, are a little bit too small for us to help right now, but you can kind of push them along and help them grow past that 10K and get them ready to come work with our agency.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron.